put together tonight and post it tonight if I can. All right. Oh, wait. Am I up too high? No. Yeah, I am. There we go. 3, 2. Welcome, everyone, to Tracking a Mandalorian, Chapter 5, presented by Mayhem Media. This episode is following Chapter 23, or Episode 7 of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Marcus Frederiksen played us in. Make sure you check him out, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen, and check out his apparel on Facebook, facebook.com/TheHumankind. I am joined in these episodes by my senior Star Wars correspondent and our graphic artist, Robby H. Robby, welcome back to Tracking a Mandalorian.
Thank you for having me.
Check out our storefront. He designed the new logo for our sister show, and he designed a new logo that we're going to debut for Mayhem Media in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you check it out on our storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it. JDEDESIGNz is the name of my poster business, so I'm just using the same storefront because I'm not insane to run 3 storefronts. Our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast, check them out, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. And make sure wherever you're watching this, hit the like button, hit the Rumble button if it's on Rumble, and hit the subscribe button, please, so that we can try and continue to grow the Mayhem side, which is all entertainment. Robby, I don't think I forgot anything on that. So let's talk about the episode. I thought it was a great episode.
I agree 100%.
Grogu is now controlling an HK droid, or as you said it, he looks like Krang from the Ninja Turtles. But he basically has control of an HK droid now.
He does.
And he can say yes and no.
Right.
Which is hilarious. He had to be getting tired of him just smashing that yes button.
Yeah, I mean, I think can open up new prospects for Grogu character, except for just being an infant.
I think we saw that in this episode too.
Right. I'm not a big fan yet. I'm sure I will be eventually once I get used to it, because I think it kind of takes away from him.
You think?
I do a little bit. It takes away from the personality of what Grogu is, like a little tiny.
I think it's going to be cool to see him. Like, I think he'll be able to have more of a personality now. Like we saw, let's talk about what happened in this episode. He got involved, which I didn't even see coming. I honestly didn't. I thought for sure it would end with some kind of stalemate, or one of them getting the victory, like knocking the other one out, or making him, surrender or whatever. But I definitely didn't expect for Grogu in his new droid body to just get in the middle, and start.
So you're talking about the 2 Mandalorians fighting on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was an awesome scene. They're sitting there, they're playing a game. One tribe uses one rule set that the other side doesn't. It's pretty much the old-fashioned Western, you call me a cheat type deal.
Yeah.
And tensions are already high between them both because they're opposing factions.
Yeah.
So this was gonna happen either way.
Yeah, there was very little they agree on.
Right. So they're kind of like you and I. So
we don't disagree on everything, although I guess they don't necessarily either as well. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. So they had an amazing knife fight. I like a good knife fight.
The vibro blades, yeah.
Right. And both did very well. I'm always rooting for the big dude. I've been a fan of his since they first showed him.
Yeah, me too.
Most Mandalorians that you see are kind of small frame. And I always go for the guy that's like me. He's a big dude. I liked him. You kind of put yourself in the shoes. I liked it.
Yeah.
And then Grogu, while Bo-Katan and Din Djarin are discussing trying to stop. I'm thinking about stopping them.
Yeah, whether or not they should. Yeah.
Right. And here comes Grogu in the android suit,
Shouting no.
stopping him.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that was pretty serious. I didn't even expect that. That was a big part of the episode for me because I didn't see that play out that way. I didn't see Grogu getting involved at all. As soon as
Well,
he
I'm
got
glad
involved,
he did because it kind of shows that he's starting to feel like he's one of them.
I think you're right, but I still it totally didn't see it coming. Didn't he? When he got involved, I was like, oh, no kidding. No, he's getting involved. Of course he's getting involved.
And I've noticed also that Grogu's starting to act more like a teenager. If you pay attention, he's becoming a little bit more rebellious towards Din Djarin.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. They go through the city streets, and he's wanting to touch everything like a child would. But I mean, it's still kind of like when a teenager has their little bit of freedom, you give them an inch, they take a mile. So you're kind of watching him grow a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that comparison. It's something new. He has more freedom now than he had before. He's not just
and more personality.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be great for a story. I don't know how long he'll have the body. I think this is going to be like another stage. The evolution of Grogu has been great in this series.
Right. You have the baby cradle.
Yeah, he started out with the egg.
All right. So then he started walking around. He started using the Force. Now he's full mech, and I mean it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping he'd come out towards the end of the show, like gun blazing, kind of. I mean, just because you're so used to that unit having the guns.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that we'd be like cheering, like there he goes.
Yeah, against the stormtroopers.
Right. And the stormtroopers were amazing.
That are armed with Beskar.
Well, they're armed with everything that a Mandalorian uses, basically.
Yeah,
and
they were having to like shoot in between the armor to like get the kills on the stormtroopers.
Right, and the stormtroopers were actually hitting their targets for the most part, which is very strange in the Star Wars lore because we all know the stormtroopers shoot around the people.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the joke is that if there's a stormtrooper fighting you, then you have all day because he'll never fire on you. He'll never get you.
Right.
They couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they were standing right in front of it. But these stormtroopers were. I mean, they were blasting them. Some of the Mandalorians took some hits. I mean, none of them. I don't think any of them got killed or anything, but they were taking hits. You
had a few of them. I mean, I assumed that was dying because I saw them falling. I seen them falling left and right when they first started attacking. When they're flying in the air and they're like, "Those are no Mandalorians." I mean, you see them being dragged out of battle and stuff like that. They could be hurt, and I think it's kind of strange because you have some of them that falls with the first shot, then you have some Mandalorians that are taking the hits like.
Yeah. Well, you got to imagine maybe their armor is not as good. I mean, all of the Mandalorians seem to have armor in different stages. Like the big guy's like he's got the full armor. He's armored from head to toe. But even Din Djarin is not necessarily fully armored head to toe. He still has openings. He's not in full armor,
right?
In the way that the big guy is. The big guy's wearing like a Spartan suit.
I think that Din Djarin originally, like his look, except for his colors and stuff, was based like where the plates are set is based off of Boba Fett. I mean, because that's what people were watching because this is the same type of armor as Boba Fett. Yeah. So instead of having the what was that creature's name? The Mythosaurus. Instead of having the Mythosaurus like Jango has, he has the Rhino.
Yeah.
And I mean, I believe that he got his armor too quick, like all of it. But I mean, he's still badass.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the Mandalorian. I mean, that fight with the stormtroopers was really
amazing. I mean, it's better than what we've seen in any of the movies and battles.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is. It's definitely like you said. This series is almost movie style quality. Being that we were talking about the big guy, we're going to jump around in this episode. The big guy, he has a name, by the way. I have no idea if I'm going to pronounce this right. I'm going to butcher this. I know I am. Paz Vizsla. That's the name of the character he plays. That's the big Mandalorian with the big, huge, badass gun. Paz Vizsla, and he's portrayed by Tate Fletcher. That's the name of the actor that plays him. And that scene does a great job. The scene he dies in this episode.
We assume he dies.
Yeah, I guess you always have to just, unless you actually see him dead all the way, then you always have to just assume he dies. But we watch him pretty much die. He gets the blades, repeatedly in a typical Spartan kind of fashion. He goes down.
I've never hated the Red Guard more than I have watching that battle.
Yeah, I had it written down somewhere. I don't know where it is now. I'll find it then. That's like typical Spartan fashion, though, taking repeated, sword hits or knife stabs, and continuing to fight even as they stab you. Honestly, I know you're not a big fan of Game of Thrones, but it was very reminiscent of when, I'm totally drawing. Every time we shoot an episode, I can never remember anything I want to remember. I can pull names out any other time, except when the camera's on. When the
only character from Game of Thrones I knew was the Mountain.
Yeah, no, it was the one, the King's Guard who got dismissed, and I'm totally drawing a blank on his name. But his death scene, it was very similar. Okay, right. He's fighting, he's got a sword, and he's getting stabbed, and he's still stabbing people while he's getting stabbed. It was very similar to that scene, but it's also similar. You've seen that before in other movies, where they are taking hits, but they continue on, and he's fighting to defend so that everybody else can get away. One sacrifice for the many.
And I liked how they did it.
Yeah, I
thought the door was going to shut and blasters was just going to go off and he was going to die. I thought it was going to be the whole ending of Red Dead Redemption when you come out of the barn. And he took every fucker out. And I'm sitting here cheering the whole time. I was like, he may survive this, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
And then the Red Guard came out, and I'm like, shit.
Yep. I'm with you. After he defeated all of them, I said, okay, what's next? Like, it has to be something. I know he's not, I knew he wasn't surviving that, even when there was hope. And I'm like, okay, he's still not surviving this. What is it that's going to take him? Even the armored stormtroopers aren't enough to take this guy. And he cooked his gun. How about that?
Right. And I thought it was kind of cool because the way that I was looking at it while I was watching it, because I'm a very picky person. So through playing the games since the Super Nintendo and all that stuff, it got to the point where instead of reloading your weapon, your power would go, your weapon would run hot, so you had to let it vent.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here watching him fire all these bullets, lasers, whatever you want to call it, blasters. And I'm sitting here like, that bitch has got to overheat. I mean, what the hell? And then all of a sudden you see that shit. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
They put that detail in there that I was hoping that they would.
Yeah.
And I believe that they do a lot of nods to the different assortments of fans of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And
when you even see the gun starting to heat up, it starts getting red even before it starts malfunctioning. But then by the end, dude, you can see it's like the whole thing is glowing red. It's like a hot piece of metal. You know what I mean? It's completely locked up. He literally melts his gun. And that was crazy to me. I couldn't believe that we actually saw. I can't believe they put that detail in there. Like you said, it's an amazing detail to add to that fight scene.
And I still honestly believe that we haven't seen the last of them.
I don't know. I think that might be wishful thinking. I'm pretty sure that, whatever they were called, I had written down here. Now I can't find it on my outline.
You had too many story arcs to end so quickly.
I mean, I don't think his story's over. I mean, we know he has a kid, so I think there's going to be more to his story, but I think I don't know that we're going to get him. A little interesting fact for anybody, Tate Fletcher, that's the guy who plays this Mandalorian that we're talking about. He is a former MMA fighter. He was on the Ultimate Fighter show in 2006, and he competed for Team Shamrock. Just a little fun fact for you there about the actor that portrays him. So he dies at the end. The armorer takes the wounded back up before they even get to that point. So the armorer's out of the equation.
And I still think she's suspect as fuck.
I was half expecting it was cool because we're watching these two things unfold. They do a great job with this misdirection. That's the other thing that they're doing a great job with in The Mandalorian is misdirection. Like the opening that we talked about, the false opening where you think it's the Mandalorian getting his armor, and then it turns out it's really not the Mandalorian. It's just another kid.
Right.
This was another one. You're following the Mandalorians as they go through. You're following the armorer. To me, I was thinking she's going to come through that clouds, and there's going to be an Imperial fleet.
I thought the exact same thing.
The Mandalorian fleet, like just trashing them.
But see, my whole thing is she seems very suspect.
Yeah, and when before.
And with her leaving right when all this shit's about to happen, and I could be 100% wrong, because to tell you the truth, I like the character. I hope this character is good.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
I like that the Mandalorians have like this. Like I said, I've been calling her. She's not like a political figure. She seems to be more of a spiritual figure.
Well, it's kind of like the older tribes when like the witch doctor was the chief.
Yeah,
and the armor for them seemed like the chief. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like no, I agree with you. I think when they were scattered and broken, she was the only thing to a leader that they had. But she's, like I said before, she's more of a spiritual leader, not a political.
So now she's just well respected because they're looking more to Bo as a leader.
Yeah, exactly. They're looking to Bo-Katan as a leader, and I think she made the right call there. To me, the armorer, who is a spiritual leader, there's wounded who can't go into battle. You might be going into battle, but you're going into danger with everything that you've experienced. And I think that's her. I think that was her role. I know it seems suspect to you. And I'm not totally convinced that she doesn't have some kind of ulterior motive. But in that instance, I don't know that I can read that instance as anything but just her taking the wounded, her taking care of the wounded.
Right.
But I swear, she was coming through those clouds. I'm like, the fleet's destroyed. It's on fire. And then she comes through and it's completely clear. And then they go back to the Mandalorians getting locked in the room. And some of them stayed outside and, got killed. Like Djarin was out there, and then they captured him.
Now his fight, when he got captured, I was like, holy shit. I mean, I knew he was going to get captured. I knew they weren't going to get away.
Yeah.
But the fight that he put out and them having to use what I call the harpoon guns.
Yeah.
The harpoon Mortal Kombat looking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very reminiscent of, like you say, like gladiator times.
Yeah.
Like grabbing the whips and just holding them and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was badass. And that's one of the reasons that I think that Big Dude is still alive, because I believe he's going to be the aspect when they try to escape. I believe he's going to be the one that's slowing them down.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I will see. I don't know. That's where I'm not convinced on the armorer yet, but I don't believe that what she was doing in this episode could be suspect. And I do disagree with you about what's his name? Let's use his name. Paz Vizsla. That's the character's name. And we disagree on that. I think he's gone. I think that was his death. I think if
I'm going to hope against hope.
If he survives it, I don't think he saves them. I think they come back and see, oh, he's not dead, and then they have to save him, because I don't think he took a lot of wounds. So I don't know that he's going to come back like just, oh, I'm here to save the day. I think he's going to need immediate medical attention if he's to survive.
See, I didn't know if the weapons that the Red Guard was used as a stun or a kill. That's why I was thinking of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but not like I said. The way I saw it, like just like I said, a gladiator. He's taking knife wounds or sword wounds as he's continuing to fight them. I just wish he would have gotten one of those. I just wish he would have gotten one of them.
I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to see one fall.
Yeah, just one. And he tried. He even did after he was stabbed, he even did the thing where he went, he pulled it in further so that he could grab a hold of one. I thought, yes. But no, then they didn't let him get one.
So what did you think when the Mandalorians arrived on the planet with the symbol underneath the ship? I thought that was badass as hell.
Yeah, I like that very much too. I like that they have like a fleet, you know what I mean? Like I like that they're starting to build now. They're starting to become a real people again. I like that. I hope that's why I was so afraid that the fleet was destroyed when the armor was going through the clouds. I'm like, man, you have like an Imperial cruiser, you have support craft. Like, if that's destroyed, man, that's gonna hurt so much for the Mandalorians as a people.
Right. I mean, it definitely would.
Let's talk about the surface for a minute, because I know you wanted to mention that when they arrive on Mandalore, they find these other Mandalorians who have been fighting this whole time, and they're in a derelict pirate ship or a makeshift pirate ship that can glide on the glass of the surface,
which I thought was kind of badass.
That's awesome, dude. It was so awesome.
I
wish it didn't have to. I wish it would have lasted. Like I would have loved to have seen a battle with that, not abandoned ship.
Right. And I thought we lost more Mandalorians than we did when the creature attacked.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought maybe we lost a couple when that happened too. Like their force, it seemed like when they were engaging the stormtroopers, they didn't have the same force that was on the boat.
Right.
So I think this venture has cost them some Mandalorians.
It has. But I believe them finding the forge.
Yeah.
All right. That was the biggest deal. And that was a big hit on them as well. The survivors, I mean, you could tell they've been through hell. That they were almost in tears because they felt like they failed Bo. When Bo feels like she failed them by basically surrendering to Gideon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she had to make that hard choice once again when the doors closed. And he gave her a choice. I want the dark saber. I want this, that, the other. I want, and she decided, no, we're going against these people. We're going to stand that ground. And I think that showed a lot of growing for Bo-Katan as well. And as you know, the surface, I mean, it's just plain glass. I mean, you still have living creatures there. Because originally I thought, hey, you got the droid that captured Din Djarin in the one episode. I thought everything was going to be kind of apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And then you have this big creature that jumps out. So that gives you more hope for Mandalore.
Yeah. And the fact that the Moff Gideon, is apparently massing an Imperial fleet there, an Imperial force.
Right. So at the beginning of the episode, you have Moff Gideon having a council with the Shadow Council.
Yeah, the Shadow Council. That's what it's called. We're gonna move. Let's move to that now.
So when he's walking up to the Shadow Council, if you pay attention,
you can see
you have the cloning tubes. What I assume to be cloning tubes. If you pay attention, you can see the silhouette of a human being, and Gideon's been working with trying to clone different people, and of course, he was trying to clone Grogu at the beginning of the series.
Yeah. So you're the one that pointed that out to me, which was a great see to see that. I definitely didn't on the initial watch through. I didn't see that. And you're right. And that leads us to Project Necromancer, because we heard about that in the Shadow Council.
Right.
And we have to assume that I would assume that the cloning has to have something to do with that. If I could go pure speculation, and this is complete speculation.
That's what I was about to say. They could be cloning anybody from the Emperor, which has been done in the movies and in the books.
Yeah.
To cloning different Thrawns, where Thrawn will never die because they brought up Thrawn.
Yeah.
Or just growing their own Jedi or Sith, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if that can happen because the Force is tricky. I don't know that clones have.
Well, he was trying to get Grogu, so I figured that was a possibility.
Let's break this down here a little bit here. We have a few more minutes. When we talk about bringing the Emperor back, that's different from, say, cloning Thrawn and having multiple Thrawns. Okay, cloning the Emperor, the Emperor could still come back from the nether realm of the Force and inhabit his body, his cloned body, which is what happens in the book.
Basically, his spirit taking over a body.
Yes. Now, but with Thrawn, unless they've completely changed him, he is not a Sith Lord. He is not a Jedi Master, though he's very knowledgeable of the Force. He's not knowledgeable enough that he can manipulate or use the Force. He's knowledgeable in the sense that he believes it's real, or well, not believes it's real, knows that it's real, and has done studying on it to try and negate the Force. At least in the books. I'm a big fan of Thrawn in the books. And
I know nothing about
him. Yes.
I just know what he's supposed to look like. Yes. But as you see in the Shadow Council, they have no, what's the word for it? They don't have any hope for Thrawn. Like,
they lost hope. Only there's two guys who seem to have the majority of the military force at their disposal.
Right.
And that's not Moff Gideon, but these two are also the same people who believe that Thrawn is around or coming back, or maybe they know more than they're letting on, but they are believers that Thrawn is going to come back and take over.
And can I tell you how fast, and I still call it the Empire. I forgot what they call them, but how fast they work at the beginning of the show. And this is not months and years in the past that this is happening. They have this meeting. Moff Gideon was just noticed to be missing from the transport.
Yeah.
The X-Wing fighter found him, the captain. Yeah. All right. So they started showing him again in this episode. I think this is the first episode you see him. You have the female Empire chick, the technician that we were talking about before.
Yeah, let's talk about her. Yeah.
So she is, like I said, working to get the Empire started as well.
Yep.
Okay. So she's working the inside. She's acting like she's all changed and stuff, but she's getting the information and giving it to the Empire.
Which you and I suspected you had suspected before during the conversation way back when the X-Wing fighter wanted to get some help for the planet, Carl Weathers' planet, who I'm totally drawing a blank on his character name because we're getting off on a tangent here. But you suspected since then that she was like a double agent or something like that. And I suspected after she entrapped the scientist. Once she entrapped the scientist, I thought she's definitely working her own agenda, or she's working another angle of some kind.
Right. So she has a meeting with Moff Gideon, and she spoke to him about the two Mandalorian tribes combining. They merged into one tribe, and Gideon is afraid of this. So for some reason, the reason that Gideon wants Mandalore is for the Vascar metal.
Yeah.
All right. So military strategics and all this stuff, that's why he wants Mandalore, and he does not want the Mandalorians to be powerful again because he cannot have this metal. And we already seen how powerful he can be with this metal with these stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So that was what he brought up to the Shadow Council. All right. So within a few weeks, Gideon has everything he asked for in the Shadow Council. the Red Guard, the bombers, everything.
Yeah.
Which I think the timeline's kind of screwed up to do it that quick, but hell, who knows?
Yeah, well, because that is one time is tricky in the Star Wars universe. We don't always get to know how long it is between events or between things. I don't know. I'm gonna point something out though. I'm gonna counter what you're saying. You think that they moved that fast, that all the forces he has were what he wanted, what he requested from the council.
The forces that he did have, he had the bombers. He asked for the Red Guard.
I don't think that. I think these are forces he already has. I don't think the forces have arrived. I think these are forces he already has.
I don't know, because he brought up the bombers in the council, and when everything came to the standstill at the end, the bombers were taken off.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking that
I can't see him doing this attack this quickly without everything he asked for.
no, that's what I'm saying to you though. I think he's already had all this set up on Mandalore. This is his force. He wants more for whatever reason. We could speculate as to why. Maybe he thinks the Mandalorians are going to be stronger than he.
Well, see, that's what he asked for, that fourth hole to take out the Mandalorians.
I think he used that as a way to get more forces from the Shadow Council.
Maybe so.
My thinking is that what we've seen him and them engage with is the force he already has. That's my thinking. That's what he already has. He's getting extra from the Shadow Council. What he's getting from the Shadow Council hasn't even arrived yet. He's playing like he doesn't have a force to the Shadow Council. He's clearly playing. Can we agree that he's clearly playing?
No, he is playing them.
Yeah,
but the certain things that they have shown that he specifically asked for, like the way that he spoke about wanting the Red Guard, okay?
Yeah.
He didn't have the Red Guard at that time. The Red Guard has already arrived. The bombers hanging off the ceiling, he specifically asked for. They have arrived. Now, the clone trooper, not clone trooper, I've gotten so used to the bullshit from the sequels, I mean prequels, but the stormtroopers, they might have been already his.
Yeah.
Okay. The garrison that he had, that might have been him. I'm talking about the machinery.
Yeah, but
and the Red Guard
the fighters and the Shadow Guard and stuff.
Right.
You might be right, and that would make sense to me because they show him talking about it, and then here he is using those tools. I'm not entirely convinced that he doesn't already have all this stuff, and the request he made from the Shadow Council is not extra. I think he already has this force, and he wants more from the Shadow Council.
Well, it's a possibility because he wants to be the more powerful of all these.
Yeah, he's clearly not a fan of Thrawn, and now I hate him even more just since I know that. Just so we're clear, because I'm a fan of Thrawn. I'm a huge fan of Thrawn.
Because at the moment, one of the things that one of the council members said was, right now it appears that they are just scattered warlords from the Empire. Okay. So they are weakened, as everybody knows. But I believe they're a whole lot stronger than
the two guys who clearly control the assets or the Imperial assets or what remains. And I don't know about Thrawn. We've heard his name a couple of times now, so I can't imagine that he's not going to be in this in some way. I just hope that he's not going to be. He can't. I know it's like movie quality TV, but he can't be a TV villain. He's got to have his own movie. So if they bring him in, he just can't be defeated in The Mandalorian. There's got to be more to Thrawn than just him being in The Mandalorian.
I believe there is going to be more to him. And they've already talking about another Star Wars film.
Yeah.
And they have shown pictures of, is her name Ren?
Ray.
Pregnant.
Yeah.
All right. So it's all going to be all Marvel-esque. It's going to be combined. We're getting the filler between the movies.
Well, they're doing a little different with Star Wars. With Star Wars, they seem to be making more expanding the universe in their TV series. and
Well, they
using
are,
and using
because
the
for the
movies.
Star Wars films, the way that they've always have been, even till now, Star Wars films has always been straightforward.
Yeah.
From watching what I call Episode 1, which is A New Hope to me.
Yeah.
All right. But watching A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi,
Yeah.
to going back to watching Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, and Revenge of the Sith, they're all straightforward films. There's really nothing. The only trickery they have in all these films was the fact that nobody knew originally that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're right. No, you're right. There's not a lot of mystery or figuring it out there. It's an
I mean,
adventure.
even watching the Phantom Menace, you can tell that Palpatine was the Emperor.
Yeah, no, actually, I couldn't. Someone pointed that out to me. I just want to be clear on that. I was a complete moron. I didn't see it at
Well,
all.
myself, I could tell from the first time I saw it.
Yeah, well,
But
you know what?
and it's nothing. I mean, I'm sure other people didn't see it either. But
Yeah.
it's not a lot of trickery to Star Wars. But see, I think they want to get away from the building of only the Jedi and the Empire. That's why we're seeing more branches. We're seeing the Mandalorians. We're seeing the spies that gave the Rebel Alliance the Death Star plans. We're seeing all of this.
Yeah.
Because you can only do so much with the same story plot. I mean, we've watched 3 trilogies, all right, of the same movie over and over again.
Yeah.
So
very, very close. Yeah, very close. Yeah, and the TV shows are definitely opening it up. And if they want to do that, I mean, after the Empire falls, like during this event, what we're getting in the Mandalorian. In the books, there is no Jedi. The New Republic is trying to build, and then eventually Luke tries to rebuild the new Jedi, but that's a process. So even where they're at in the storytelling, they have to open up to more things because there is no
well,
Jedi.
they do, but by the story plot of the newer Star Wars movies, Luke started to create the Jedi, like the younglings and stuff. Kylo Ren fucked that up, and he gave up.
Yeah.
Now he's a hermit on a fucking planet drinking blue milk out of a alien.
Yeah, they did mess up a lot of stuff. The Mandalorian is trying to fix some of that stuff and put us back on the right path. But they have to start doing something with the movies because they with 7, 8, and 9, they took it in the wrong direction. They went the wrong direction. I don't know. I mean, and they're still keeping it going with Rey. I don't know what they're planning to do with her, but I'd have been like, no, 7, 8, 9, let's go somewhere else because this is not working.
Well, like I said, I've seen pictures of her pregnant, so somehow during their escapades, when they were enemies and not enemies, they got it on.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I don't know. It's like I said, the whole Rey story and Kylo Ren story is messed up because I like the way the books were, so that makes me mad when I talk about it.
I agree, but you have so many good characters in the books. And Thrawn is one of them that, like I said, I don't know him. You do, but they're fitting him in. So
if they do it right, if they don't do Thrawn right, they're gonna have a real. They're gonna struggle with their Star Wars universe. I think if they don't do Thrawn right, because Ahsoka looks good, she looks good, and I can't wait for her series. That looks good, but Thrawn has to be done the right way, or you're going to lose a lot of people because people that know Thrawn, they're expecting something.
right.
We're expecting something from Thrawn, okay? Because he, in the books, after everything's said and done, he is the Empire. He's the one that has the ships. He's the one that's directing what is happening. He is the Shadow Council. He's the Grand Admiral. He doesn't counsel with anybody. He just says, this is what's happening now.
So he's basically like the Emperor.
Yes, but he's also different. He's cunning. He's smart. He's not blinded by by religion or
No,
by
I'm saying his status in the Empire. He's basically the boss. Like he's
yes, in the books, yes, he's the Grand Admiral, and he is the ranking officer. He's the top guy, which is what happened. I mean, that's the way it falls after the Emperor falls. It's pretty much actually after the Emperor and Vader, then Thrawn would pretty much be the next guy in charge, being Grand Admiral. So, and we're expecting something because he's a smart person. He's not stupid. He's smart. He's honestly the way Moff Gideon has been, his character, he's kind of reminded me a bit of Thrawn, which is why I find it so weird that he's also not a Thrawn fan, because his whole persona, I'm like, man, please don't let him be like the new cinematic version of what Thrawn is supposed to be. When I first saw him, when I first saw Moff Gideon, even with the dark saber, I'm like, oh, please don't let this be like the Thrawn equivalent.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I know you said at one time you like him as an actor, the guy who plays Moff Gideon.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of dry. I think he's boring. I can't wait for him to die in the show. He's my least favorite part of the Mandalorian. And it's not because he's the villain. It's just because I think he's such a bad villain. It's like trying to watch, for me, it's like watching somebody that used to do the old theater crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, my hope is the setup is that because he's not a fan of Thrawn. So my hope is that he tries to usurp what Thrawn already knows to be his. And Thrawn being the type of character who's always one step ahead of everybody. He's always one step ahead of everybody. That's why he's so dangerous in the books. He's not a Sith Lord. He's not a Jedi. He doesn't have access to the Force. He's smart. He uses his intelligence and his cunning and his knowledge, because he's a reader. He'll read everything. He knows. He uses knowledge as his weapon against everybody. And anything short of that is not going to be tolerated, in my opinion. And I think Moff Gideon is just arrogant enough to think that he can usurp Thrawn. But if Thrawn's not ready for that already and just annihilates him, like you said, you're waiting for him to die. I expect Thrawn to come back, and he'll be the reason Moff Gideon dies, is Thrawn. Because I think that would give him a kind of, I think you're right. A lot of people like you, I think, don't like Moff Gideon. So I think when Thrawn comes back, if he ends Moff Gideon and he's going to be the new enemy, at least temporarily, I think that would be a good storytelling, because he just killed somebody who was arrogant enough to think that they're going to outsmart the Grand Admiral.
And he might be a better actor than I think he is, because the arrogance, I think, might be what gets me. Because instead of being an intimidation in my eyes, he's more of the schoolyard bully.
No, I don't think that's. I think that's by design. I don't think that's.
And it may be. He just doesn't. To me, I don't see what's intimidating by him.
But see, he's not. No. See, he's not the school bully. He's the guy who can tell the school bully what to do, and the school bully listens. Okay, he's not. And to put it in another term, he's not Satan. He's the guy that runs in to get Satan a pack of cigarettes. Right. No, but no, he's not the guy. He's not intimidating. I agree with you. He tries to come off as intimidating, and it fails. I think that's by design. I think where his intimidation comes in is in his intelligence and his when he's got an army around him. You know what I mean? When he's one step ahead of you, that's when he's arrogant. We saw what happened when he got captured. He was a completely different. Moff Gideon's a completely different person when he no longer has the upper hand.
Right.
But when he has the upper hand, he's an arrogant, just so arrogant that you hate him. But when he's underfoot, he's a conniving, deceiving, beg, grovel for my life kind of person. You know what I mean? I think that's by design. And I think that's credit to the actor that plays him. I think
you could be 100% right, and I might dislike him because he's such a great actor.
I think the reason you hate him is because you're supposed to hate him.
Right. It could be that.
That would be my guess, because I hate him too. I hate Moff.
Because my feeling is like when you see that one actor that you just don't like in a movie and it just aggravates you to see him.
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah.
All right. He's my Matthew McConaughey right now.
Yeah.
All right.
But is it him or is it the character? Because I don't like
that's what I don't think I can distinguish at the moment.
Okay, very good. Then that's close enough then, because Matthew McConaughey is actually a really great person in real life, but I can't stand him as an actor. I think he's been terrible in just about everything. So that's why and Natalie Portman for that matter. This guy, I think, is doing good. I think the reason you don't like him is by design. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. I think you're supposed to.
It can be.
So I can't. This is also one last thing. This was such a great episode, in my opinion. I wouldn't rank it as my favorite episode. I have other episodes in that. This might come in at 4 or 5 because I was on the edge of my seat for most of it. What was next? The fight sequences, moving from one thing to the next, and then the end. This has been the best cliffhanger to an episode that I've seen so far because I so want what's next. Even in the season ending, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm excited to see where the episode's going. This was the first time where I'm like, at the end, I was like, no, it can't be over.
Right. And it kind of confused me because I was like, is this going to be the finale of the season? And I still kind of don't know because I figured it'd be 8 episodes like it has been.
Yeah. I can't imagine them shortening it. At this point, in my opinion, they need to go longer. They should be going 10 or 12 episodes.
Right. So I don't believe this is going to be the last episode of the season because it doesn't say final.
I think we got one more then, right?
So hopefully it's going to be at least one more.
Yeah. Yeah. This would be, because this is chapter 23. And if it goes 8 episodes this season, that would be chapter 24. And that would be 8 episodes every season so far, which is probably, like you just said, the way they're going to do it. So we probably have one more of these episodes of Tracking a Mandalorian. We'll finish out their season 3 with the end of our first season. It will only be 6 episodes, not a full episode, because we picked this up a week or 2 into the series. Took us a week or 2 to get it going. Robby was the one that suggested it. It's been a good series so far, and it's definitely been a good learning experience, not just a continued learning experience for myself, but also Robby, being that this is the second after show? Is that what you might want to call it? Our second after show that we've done at Mayhem Media. After the Dragon was our first one that I did with Ms. Pop. Make sure you check that out. It's a great series, and we learned a lot from this series. And we're going to start doing some other series. We got other series that we're going to be doing. Ms. Pop is going to be joining me on a Yellowstone, whole Yellowstone universe series. We're going to be doing all of it, the 1883, the 1923, and then the actual Yellowstone series. And Robby and I are going to be doing another series as well. We're going to wait a few weeks after this series is over. We're going to do some Marvel movies. We're going to do some Marvel episodes coming up, hopefully, before we get into another series like this. But we will have more coming. So stay tuned to Mayhem Media. We got lots of content coming your way. Robby H is our graphic artist. Check out our storefronts. Help earn us both a little money. Bonfire.com/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z at the end of it. Pick up some apparel, some new Mayhem Media apparel. Marcus Frederiksen's going to play us out. ReverbNation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song and use the hashtag normalize the good and the humankind. Robby H, anything final you wanted to add?
Just one more thing. Earlier in the episode, I was talking about timelines between the movies and what's going on in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And I got something wrong because of Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker is still youngish in The Mandalorian.
This is right after.
Period. So this is like right after
episode 6.
Episode 6.
Yeah.
The newer movies and stuff is
years after all this.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we're not going to be building into the movies.
Yeah. I could see 7, 8, 9 kind of being like, we made them and now we're going to ignore them.
Maybe.
Which is, I can absolutely see that. check us out next week. We'll be doing I think we're going to be on Saturday night next week. Will be our finale. And I'm going to try and talk Robby H into doing a live episode for our finale. So look for us maybe live next week. Follow us on Facebook, Mayhem Media Inc., and YouTube, Mayhem Media Inc., and on Rumble. Subscribe everywhere. Follow us. Help us grow this channel, this podcast. For my senior Star Wars correspondent and graphic artist, Robby H, I am your host, JD. This is the way.